What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's daily market recap. In today's episode, I'm going to break down all of my trades from the morning. But you know what? Let's pause the music. I'm not going to say good morning because it certainly is not one. So today was completely off the rails. I started the day by going deep into the red, and then I made a miraculous recovery, a recovery that people will probably be talking about for generations. I don't even know how it happened, to be honest. So this recap is, let's get the music going again, because now I've got something to celebrate. I recovered from basically right at my max loss all the way back to green. Now that's not easy. It takes a certain level of calm, cool, collected focus to recover from deep into the red. And I had to think about it for a second because MLGO was the stock that got me the worst. And I also felt like it was my best chance for recovery. And so I was sort of presented with this challenge of, I don't want to try to recover in a way on the same stock that put me into this situation because clearly it's not working for me. But on the other hand, I'm seeing other setups on it. So what do I do? Well, you know what? Let's get into the recap. Let's jump onto the charts. So first thing first, I sat down this morning. It's Tuesday. It's April 1st. And I'm thinking, all right, I better be careful. You know, last Tuesday I had a big loss. If you recall, last Tuesday, sat down, first trade of the day, was actually on a stock very similar to ICCT. And this was my first trade today. So ICCT, I jumped in it right here, right there, for the break. Sorry, actually it was right here, for the break through this flat top. Now, this looked like a good setup to me. It's consolidating, it's a flat top, it's a cup and a handle. This is usually a setup I can trust. So I jumped into this and there was a wall of sellers at 340. I mean, hundreds of thousands of shares selling at 340. And I began with my starter size, but I pretty immediately went up to a full size position on it because I really thought it was going to work. It felt to me like a relatively low risk setup, and I like the chart. It's a continuation, day two continuation after this big move yesterday. So, you know, just for context, this stock has gone from like 40 cents a share all the way up now to $5. I mean, you know, 1,000% over the course of 48 hours. Unbelievable. So I had the right idea, and obviously it did end up breaking this level and squeezing, but it waited till the opening bell to do it. So right in this area, there was a ton of selling. So on the first trade, I lost $750. That's not the end of the world. It's not that big of a loss, but here's the problem. When you take bigger size on your first trade, sometimes you just, and I find this for myself, maybe it's not the case for you, but I sort of find, well, I took big size on my first trade, so then the second trade that comes up, I'm just sort of like in the mindset of taking big size. Well, but I'm down $750. So I probably shouldn't have sized up so heavy on ICCT. I didn't take a big loss doing it, but then MLGO pops up and I sized up heavy. Holy smokes. Okay, so this was my first trade on MLGO. It was right here on this candle. Now, the thing with MLGO was that first of all, I was talking myself out of the trade while I was taking the trade. I was like, MLGO, it never works pre-market. This stock is so choppy. It only seems to squeeze during regular trading hours. And then next thing I know, it's squeezing up right here to 28 to 29. And I'm like, you know what? Son of a gun, this thing is going. I mean, it was moving, but it kind of baited me in. So what I ended up doing, and you know, that's me not taking responsibility for my own trades. It was MLGO's fault that I lost money. It was my own fault, but in any case. So I jumped in it at $28.38. And so basically what I did was I sort of so we had this high here at 29, and I was looking for a retest. Sorry, that was 28.50. What was the high? The high from yesterday was 30. So we broke this level right here. I was looking for the break through that level of 28.50. So I got in right underneath it to anticipate the break. That's fine. And it worked. It went all the way up to 29. What did I do? I doubled my position. It goes up to 29.50. I now tripled my position. I was looking for the squeeze to 30. That was my target, a retest of yesterday's high. So all of a sudden, the bottom falls out. It drops back down to 28.50 and all the way back down to 27.50. I stopped out right there, minus $9,000. So that's a pretty big loss to take on my second trade of the day on the first day of the new month. Hello, what am I doing? So now it's like, I'm thinking, how did I end up here? And so let me give you a little context. So for whatever reason, last night, I had a really hard time falling asleep. So I finally fell asleep, maybe around midnight. And then I woke up at 2:30 and I couldn't fall back asleep for like an hour and a half. So I was up between 2:30 and 4 in the morning. And then at 5:15, my dog wakes me up and she's desperately needing to go for a walk. So then I was just up at 5:15. So I only slept for a few hours last night. That for me is a really big trigger. The issue here, I think, was that I got a little impatient and I got a little stubborn. And being impatient and being stubborn can be a very dangerous combination. So I end up taking the loss of $9,000 right here. It pops back up here, it pops back up here, and I add back. I get back in, and I did the same thing. I sized up, I sized up, I sized up, I sized up, and then it drops down. Twice in a row. And I lost about $8,000, $9,000 on the second trade. So now I'm down $17,000 on MLGO. And son of a gun, this stock ended up working. I mean, well, short term. It did end up going in the right direction. And I did end up getting back in it. So where I got back in it was once we broke over this ascending resistance line, I got back in right here and rode the momentum up to there. And I made about $10,000 on that trade. And on that trade, I actually took smaller share size and I held it longer. I paid myself. I said I held it longer and then I paid myself. I took my profit out. I didn't keep adding to the position. So I ended up making back some money on MLGO. And that put me back to down on the day, but down only about 9,000 or 12,000. So I recovered some of the loss. So I'm like, all right, that's good. Now at the open, right before the open, MLGO was looking good and that starts to roll over. But you know why it started to roll over initially? I have a theory. And my theory is because all of a sudden GRRI started to pop up on the scans. So this was crazy. This was the stock that I ended up having a miraculous recovery on. This stock went from a low of 4 all the way up to $11 a share. I didn't see it coming. So the stock hit my scanners right here. So I've got my scanners, of course, running. I'll back this up. So when the stock pops up and hits the scanner, I get the audio alert. I see it come up. And so I saw GRRI pop up on the scan here and then come all the way back down. And we also had a stock earlier that popped up and come down. And this even had news, DATS. And I took a trade on it and I lost. So I thought, you know, GRRI popping up with news, I don't know. So it pops up, drops, and I'm thinking it's no good. And then all of a sudden here, next thing you know, it's breaking over VWAP and this thing is squeezing. So here's what I did. I bought the pullback right there. Boom. We got a pullback there from 6 and a squeeze up to 8. Bought the next pullback right there. Got a squeeze up to 850. These first couple trades made about 5,000 bucks on it. Then about 6,000. So I got a little bit of profit, nothing insane. It dips down again. I got back in for the squeeze to 9. It pops up to 9. It pulls back. Got back in for the breakthrough 916 right here. Took some profit. At the open, we got a dip and we got a rip. I had my best exit basically right at the high of day here at, it was like 1040, something like that. On resumption, I sold the rest into the halt down and then ended up halting down 3 times in a row, which kind of surprised me. So all of a sudden, the wind sort of fell out of the sails on this one, and we got this big sell-off. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to overstay my welcome. I'm going to be grateful for the recovery, and I'm now sitting up $2,754.95 on the day. This feels like an incredible recovery after being as deep red as I was. So how did I do it? Well, I made back half the loss on MLGO, changing strategies. Instead of adding and adding and adding, I bought a dip, and then I just held, essentially, which is not usually how I like to trade, but it ended up working out well on MLGO. I bought a dip and then I just held. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let it ride. Let's see what this does. Typically, I would have taken the profit off quickly when I was up 15, 20 cents a share, but because I had smaller size, I was like, nah, I don't know if it's even worth it. So I waited till I got over $1 a share on that. So that was MLGO, good recovery on that. And then GRRI, basically, this is just, you know, kind of old school momentum trading biotech stocks between 2 and 10. I know exactly what to do on this. So pretty quickly was up $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. We get the pullback, it goes higher, and you know, I was in the driver's seat. Now, I also kind of thought, and by the way, Newsmax and NMAX, This one's going higher as well. When I was down, like at my lowest point, down 20 grand, I was looking at Newsmax at 114 or 112. And I was like, should I buy it? And I said, Ross, is this between 2 and 20? And I said, no, it's not. And I said, then don't touch it. And I said, well, what about MLGO? I said, you shouldn't have even touched MLGO in the first place. It's too expensive. It's too choppy. Now you've broken the ice on it, and it probably is your best shot at recovery. At least it has volume. Newsmax had very, very light volume this morning, $2, $3 per share spreads. I was showing 214 by 216, 2-point spreads. And I'm happy to see it, going higher for people that continue to trade it, but I just said I can't take the risk on it, and that was the right move. So I'm glad that I left that alone. I regret trading MLGO at all. I shouldn't have touched it. This stock did not fit within my profile. This should be a $10,000 green day. The loss on DATS and the loss on ICCT, that's fine. Those are within my strategy. The loss on MLGO is completely avoidable. That was a dumb mistake. GRRI, this should have been a $10,000 red day. So I've got basically an extra $8,000 in losses from MLGO, but it could have been worse. Obviously if that final trade I took had not worked, then I'd be down, 25 grand on MLGO or whatever, so it just, so I kind of come back to two things. Number one, I feel like I need to try to make sure I get a good night's sleep tonight, because that obviously threw me off today. Number two, I think it's time to take a little money out of my account, because getting stubborn when you've got $1 million in your trading account can lead to some pretty big screw ups. If I really wanted to get stubborn, I could buy 30,000 shares of MLGO. Next thing you know, it flushes 5 points. I'm down 150 grand. Because I, momentary lapse of judgment. I didn't sleep well. Next thing you know, I'm getting stubborn. No, I don't want to let that happen. So I need to take some money out of my account. I don't mind taking 30,000 shares of a stock that's priced at, $3 a share, but not $30 a share. I can't do that. It's not safe for me. It's not responsible. So, so on MLGO, my ability to take larger share sizes and take bigger positions did not help me. It, in fact, put me at a risk of taking a really big loss. So I think I'm going to take some money out of my account, bring it back down a little bit, just to help kind of put the guardrails on. I had a big red day last Tuesday. Today was nearly a second one within the span of a week. Basically 2 of the worst days I've had in an entire year. All right, writing's on the wall. Pump the brakes a little bit. Slow it down. Yes, the market's a little bit choppier. With the exception of course, look, we're seeing some moves, but it doesn't mean that it's easy. Right now, it feels like it's been a little bit more challenging. I've had a couple close calls, and so I need to scale back a little bit, slow it down, size down. And so that's like the best thing I can do. And of course, if I'd gotten better sleep, maybe I would have had the patience and kind of stamina and discipline to say, I'm really not touching MLGO. I haven't traded it all these days. I'm not going to finally trade it here today at $30 a share. But I just got impatient. And I think the fact that I was sitting red $750 and then I finally saw something moving, I was just like, you know what, I'm jumping on it. And it was annoying because it ended up doing what I thought it would do, which is, I lost on it here, then it goes to $34 a share. So I'm red on a stock that went up quite a lot. Then it halted down 3 times, bounced up a little bit, but obviously a red day on the daily chart as it's pulling back. So I'm just going to lock it up here. I don't want to overstay my welcome. This was not an easy day, but I want to remind you guys, those of you who haven't already checked out our anniversary sale here at Warrior Trading. We opened our doors here in 2012. That's when I created the Warrior Trading blog. So it's now 13 years that we're celebrating. So if you haven't checked out some of our specials on the Warrior Starter, Warrior Pro membership, I would love to have you guys check them out. You can see the tools that we offer, the software, of course, the curriculum. And, you get to see what it's like to be a trader and watch me trade every single day. Not every day is going to be an easy day. Some days like today are going to be more difficult. I fortunately have the benefit of both educated intuition and a lot of experience to typically know when to be aggressive and when to, take my foot off the gas. But I put it all on the table for you guys. So you see it all, the wins and the losses. And you see it, of course, in these recaps, which I upload every single day. So thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. And I will see you back here bright and early tomorrow morning. I'll be live streaming for members at Warrior Trading. So hope you guys have a great rest of the day. And if you enjoy this episode, I hope you hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And reminder, as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical. So please manage your risk, take it slow, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.